trainer. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming to our relaunch of OKC Entrepreneur Group. Those who've been here in the past, who's been in it like years ago? You've been years ago. No? Okay. So COVID was an interesting time. It kind of changed everything, and so a lot of us took a lot of breaks. But the bug, the itch to get Entrepreneur Group going again and do all the meetings and get started. I keep getting requests that when you're going to have it, because there's a need for it. There's other groups as well that you both run here as well. So thank you for being here, because as my dad always used to say, you never know who you're going to meet or what idea, small, medium, or gigantic, will change your life today, tomorrow, or in the near future, because you chose to be here versus a lot of other cool stuff that's going on around downtown. So you choose to be here and give it your time. So thank you for making that sacrifice. So we're going to hand on the reins over. I'm actually stepping back a little bit and passing on the torch to Andrew. He's going to be taking over, and I'll just be in the background. I'll still come, but I'm going to be less in the front. Because one of the reasons why is I have a baby coming. So you got another one on the way? No, I did not. I'm sure James started sharing it, so maybe. Due in August, guys. I'm pretty sure it's mine, so we'll find out.
Hi. Well, congratulations.
And I'm still alive because she said if we have twins, I'm dead. So we already had the ultrasound a week ago. So
do you know what you're gonna have?
We won't know yet. It's so too early. Yeah. So those with kids, you'll know, man, life changes. This will be my second one, our second one. Things slow down, especially the first 6 months to 8, first 6 to 8, 12 months of your life. It's really difficult. So how do you want to handle it, Andrew? It's yours. What do you want to do?
Okay, well, we initially were supposed to have Chris here tonight, guys, and I apologize, he got the flu, so he's not here. Next month, our intention is to have him go ahead and come back. What did Chris do exactly? Just to kind of give an idea.
Chris is really, I've known Chris for a long time. We've called it EO, and we've been part of EOA now for about 6 years. He is IT, so he can answer really any of your IT questions. He builds apps, he builds software, he'll build custom software, and I don't want to spoil it for him, but he does some really cool stuff. So if you've got something, app idea or something like that, he can not only probably tell you what's going to work, he can probably tell you the difference in how it could work or couldn't work, or the 3 people that's actually working on it is going to be your competition, because he knows that much. He is really smart. So he's the one I'm going to bring out next month. Unfortunately, this month I was hoping to bring him out, but anyway.
Okay, he does a little bit of 3D prototypes too. So.
Oh, anything IT, like he'll just like, I had this idea yesterday, and I started making TikToks, and I'm like, yeah, like, oh, we sold TikTok accounts and something like that, and he'll just, 3D printing some crazy crap or whatever, like anything you can think of, he can do it. He's really a cool dude. But anyway, what we're going to do now is just sort of take a minute and introduce everybody. Go ahead and start off. Oh, and let's start off with something you like about your business.
So I'll just let you know who I am. I know some of you, but not everybody. I'm Rebecca Cross. I'm Andrew's wife. By nature, I am not an entrepreneur. I've held a 9-to-5 job. I worked at AT&T as a senior instructor for 20 years. I quit back in October of last year. After much persuasion from Andrew. That was one of his goals. Andrew's big into goals, and one of those goals was to get me out of my job, to make enough money in our real estate business, investor business, to do that. And he was able to do that. So once I quit, that lasted for about 2 months, and then I picked up a new job, and now I do the administrative side of our business, which is fine. It's what I do, and I don't think I could ever be with a job. We were recently listening to, I gotta get this down. I really did like that book. What was it called? Ikigai.
Ikigai.
It's on my tag. I got Ikigai.
Oh my God.
If you have not listened to that, you should listen to that. It basically talks about different parts of the world where there's large populations of people that have lived over 100 to be 100 years of age or older. And it talks about their passions. It talks about their their intent. It talks about having purpose in life, and it was really an enjoyable book, having joy about these communities when you come in there, how everybody is just so happy, And that really hit hard with me. So it's important that you love what you do. I like being busy. One of the other things it said was always never retire. It was one of the very first things it said in the book, never retire. You know how a lot of people, especially if you're a 9-to-5er, you're looking for that day when you get to retire, right? I did not retire in October. I picked up something new, and I picked up entrepreneurship, which I'm loving. So that's what I like about my business. I love the flexibility. This is what I'm going to ask of you guys next. Since we're a small group, I think we have time to do this, and we get to meet some new people tonight. But we are in real estate, for those of you that don't know us. We invest in properties. We buy, we hold, we flip, we hotel, you name it, we've done it. We've been doing it since 2013, so almost 10 years now. And that is what I like. I like the flexibility, I like the variety. There's never a dull moment. Every day I learn something new with Mr. Cross and his endeavors. All right, Andrew, and we'll go ahead. Let's go ahead and have you go around.
Okay, I'm Charles Cosgrove. I'm an IT consultant from 9 to 5, and then I also work with Angelina as Spearhead. I'm a realtor over there. And since I didn't have enough to do with those two things, I started a digital marketing company back in October. So I have 2 clients and hoping to get one more this quarter. So
What exactly do you do for digital marketing?
everything. Do search engine optimization, we do blog posts, we do social media marketing, pay-per-click marketing. A lot of it is search engine optimization for people that have gone out and got a pretty website, but it's Google can't find it. So go in there and fix it.
Right on.
All
I'm
right.
not gonna be in.
I knew you looked familiar, Charles Cosgrove. All right,
Yes.
I've seen you on Facebook.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
My name is Elizabeth Garcia. I am a bookkeeper, and right now I'm currently attending Angelina and Ron's investing class.
Okay. Did you say bookkeeper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. What kind of companies do you currently bookkeep for?
Well, I work for a big company. The owner of this company has different companies, so pretty much do the bookkeeping for us.
Okay, and you're looking to get into
Real estate
investing?
investing.
Okay, love it. All right, go ahead, Justin.
I'm Justin. I don't have vowels in my name, so if you ever see my name and you're like, how do you say that? That's me.
Do you want to tell them how to spell it?
No, I'll let them figure it out. I
Don't have to
do
figure it out.
real estate investing as well as like videography and work in sports, and then just a bunch of like random stuff. So, but yeah, I do Andrew's videos. So if you ever see Andrew's videos,
That's the guy behind the back.
yeah.
My name is Victoria. I'm a full-time nurse, and then we also do real estate investing. So, one thing that I know about myself is that I love different stuff every day. Like I hate monotony, so being able to like put my hands on different things and check things out, and nursing and real estate is very different, but in a sense it's so much the same whenever you're doing like all kinds of different things and you have your hands in everything. It's so much fun. I love going to meetings with people and networking and picking stuff out and solving problems. So it's been pretty good to us so far.
My name is
Red carpet.
Interesting. My name is Vincent. I am an entrepreneur. One thing I do like about entrepreneurship is it's always challenging, which I love. I love the challenge. I love the not knowing what tomorrow's going to bring, I guess, but that's life. That's pretty much.
What's your business? What are you in?
Ag tech. So,
What is it?
ag tech, agriculture technology. So yeah, it's really not started yet, so it's a startup. I just finished my business plan a couple of days ago. So yeah, I had to narrow down my dream before, which I figured before, that was just too broad. It was too big. So I met with a mentor. He told me to pretty much break it down to, I guess it was some reality, but I mean, it is reality to me, but do something that I can actually accomplish now, pretty much. And that's where I'm at now.
I remember those days. Ron and Angelina telling this one. Focus. I remember those days. Everything at a time.
Yeah, you can do it all, just one thing at a time.
Well, speaking of focusing, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Josiah Zupon. I am a student of life, and I go through every day. Right now, my primary focus is learning entrepreneurship. I am learning every aspect from the real estate world, I'm understanding local businesses, so I love to mix and mingle, talking with people. And my jobs, I do a lot, but my primary job is as a dealer, card dealer. But yeah, my time is spent right now. I am focusing on building foundations and building blocks to achieve dreams down the road that will put me in a position to enable and establish giving other people opportunity, not only jobs, but investment and money that will allow them to progress with their dreams that they want to make a reality. So that's my big term goal, but right now it's focusing on just the foundation stones, because like an apple orchard, it takes time, nurturing, and growth, and patience, lots of patience, to get there.
Great, thank you.
It sounded so amazing. I think it flew right over my head a little bit. It sounded incredible. So I'm Diane. I'm also a nurse, and I have a business, a training company, and we specialize in helping nursing students pass their boards and be successful through their program. And then I also am doing a lot of research right now because I want to start an IV hydration business. It's something I'm looking at.
My name is Jaime Rios. I'm the manager of a company called Rios Junk Removal, where we specialize in helping people live a cleaner, more space-free life. We help investors, contractors, property managers, anything with real estate. We have federal contracts with like trash out, probate homes, abatements, cleaning up empty lots with homeless encampments, doing evictions. We also do interior demolition, tile removal, full mobile home demolitions, full house demolitions. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We've been in business for 5 years, so that's, yeah, yard degrees, you name it.
Did you bring business cards?
Yeah.
What's the name of your business?
Rios Junk Removal? Yes.
Do you get rid of dead bodies?
I read through one once. Yeah, 2017, so. Yeah.
Just asking for someone.
Hello, my name is Joseph Curtis. I'm 23 years old. I work a 9-to-5 job currently. I'm wanting to kind of get out of that. Right now, I'm just kind of learning as much as possible about the real estate business, and me and this gentleman here are trying to build a real estate photography business. I kind of got introduced to this through Josiah's brother, Lucas Upon. I went to culinary school with him. Yeah, so yeah, this is all kind of new to me. This is all very interesting. Anything y'all have to say, I'm suck it right up. So, yeah.
Well, hello, I'm Mark Straight. I am 23 as well. I work at a conference center right now, just kind of a normal job, and looking to get out of the normal job view and start to build a life for herself. Right now, we're trying to start anything that has to do with photography, or so we're all ears trying to get information right now.
All right, Ron?
Me? Oh, okay. I'm Ron Harris. I'm a serial entrepreneur, former IT guru. We read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it screwed me up in a good way. Made me realize I need to stop trading my time for dollars, working an hour for an hour's pay. And when it's okay, have a great life, but the book said you need to start investing that time into things like assets and businesses, things that I was like, I don't know, I didn't know about rentals or anything else like that, I just knew I wanted to buy some houses. So I went to construction trade, fell in love with construction. My dad ran a yard company for, my entire life. So the time I was old enough to pick up pairs or go out with them, I was going out with them. We were homeschooled, so he'd take us out of school, no problem, and we'd go make it up on the weekends or whatever. Education wasn't, which is sort of funny, the education at home wasn't as important as going to work and learning how to work. Sort of my dad's philosophy. But anyway, so yeah, we learned how to work there. I worked with my dad from the time I was probably 7 or 8. By the time I was 13, I was with him every day until I was 18, and I realized that $20 a day ain't cutting it. He did pretty well with us. So anyway, that was my experience. So we started there. I wanted to go into construction. Actually wanted to buy a rent house every year was my plan. I fell in love with construction and realized that I like building stuff. Like it's fun to go in there and like take a piece of junk and go fix it up. And so I did a couple jobs for a couple different people, and then I went to framing, broke my wrist and my ankle in like a year and a half, and realized that was not a long-term solution for me. And so was already going to a couple RIA clubs, and of course they found out I was a contractor, and next thing you know, I was full-blown contractor. Did that for a while, realized that I was making money in contracting, and then switched over to doing historical preservation. Did that for 10 years. Forgot all about real estate.
Okay, so you kind of got into some of the other stuff. So what I'm hearing was there was literally, Andrew was homeschooled. His entire family was homeschooled.
Yep.
Yeah.
Later on, towards the end, you were homeschooled, yeah.
Yep.
You were introduced early on to entrepreneurship through his father, because his father had a lot of value in his mowing business, and he put all of his kids, sorry, I thought I did that. He put all of his kids to work, so they were all at an early age out there working. That was the priority. School was kind of an afterthought. And one of the things that I want to throw out there is that Andrew is dyslexic, very dyslexic, and yet we've been able to build this $1 million company.
cash my checks, y'all. I'm not even joking. like banks call me all the time. They're like, how much was this check for?
We've had 2 checks where they were written for $2,900, and they gave them $2.09 because Andrew didn't fill out the whole check. So
It
anyway,
was, it just wasn't legible.
yeah, he put the 9 and not the 100 next to it. But it is what it is, and most people know that he's dyslexic. But I like to throw that out there because it didn't prevent him from pursuing what he wanted in life, and he pushed through. I remember when I first met him, I want to say that he sent me a text message, and I was like, oh boy, what am I getting into? This guy can't spell, you know? And then as we progressed in our relationship, he told me I'm dyslexic, and I was like, oh, okay. But you would think that that could hinder his opportunity to work with bankers. You would think that maybe it would hinder his opportunity to work with customers, right, clients. That did not stop him. So something like that, you know, whether that's in, you know, if that applies to any of you, or if it's something else that you feel like it's stopping you, what I want to say is push through. Andrew pushed through, and he was able to get what he needed to done, even with that what is it called? It's not a disease. I was going to say disease. Not a disease. All right, so a little bit about him. In addition, he forgot to tell you, in high school you did take a construction class.
Yeah,
And that kind of
yeah,
showed you that you had a love.
Yeah, construction trade. Yeah, I took construction trade in high school. That was like the big turning point. And then I remember my dad was like, you can't make money in construction. And my shop teacher was like, let me show you what. He was like, I went out with him. I helped him with redo the hot water tank. He handed me $50 and he put $300 in his pocket. And he was like, I just made $300 and taught you how to do it. And I was like, yeah, Dad, I'm out. I'm out. I had my yard trailer, I had my truck, I had everything but the lawnmower I needed to get started in my own yard business. I'd already watched a couple other people do it. I saw how my dad did it, and I was like, dumb, I can do it way better. Of course, you know, I'm 16, so I know how to do everything. Didn't need really help with doing anything. Amazing. We get a little smarter as we get older. So anyway, I was going to build this yard business, and then I turned around and found out, man, you make some good money in construction. So that's where I made the pivot there.
Okay. Have you ever had a W-2?
No. No, I was an independent. I worked for a year and a half, but I was an independent contractor. I should have been a W-2 for about a year and a half, but I've never had a W-2. I've done everything from auctions to whatever else, but I've always been an independent contractor.
I was going to 1099. Okay.
Yep.
So something interesting this year we found out through our CPA, we should know this because we've had a CPA for 20 years, but when you have to have a W-2 for 10 years to qualify for Medicare when you're old. So guess who's getting a W-2 effective next quarter?
Wait, say that again?
You have to have contributed for 10 years to the state in order to qualify for Medicare when you're old.
Interesting.
State or federal?
I don't know. I'm not a CPA. It's probably both, but you have to contribute. So if you never.
It can be the minimum. Yeah, it can be the very minimum. You don't have to do like your full salary or anything like that.
Yeah, we're doing the
for us, we
minimum.
don't make any money.
I think he's gonna do like $17,000 a year. It's just enough, and it's gonna be quarterly, but he has to have it because she was telling us, since he's never had one, when he's old, he won't qualify, and the cost of that insurance when you're, 60, 65 is gonna be outrageously expensive, so you're gonna want that. So anyway, that was an interesting fact that we learned recently from our CPA. Imagine what you learn.
And eventually you can set your company up to pay you W-2, so you can actually be the
Well,
owner
that's what we
and
did.
get W-2. I've been doing that for a long
We
time.
started.
And I want the new cyborg knee when I'm old, because I want to like cyborg leg, and by then they're gonna be able to do cool stuff. So I imagine it's gonna cost a lot
It's
more money.
3D printed, by the way.
3D, absolutely 3D printing. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Like, you're not gonna need a hearing aid. It's just gonna click in your ear. It's over with. So I know it's gonna be expensive, so I'll make sure I got that insurance.
Okay. So I want to kind of tie still back into a little bit of work experience before starting your own company. Elaborate a little bit more about your experiences and what you did before you decided to start your own company.
Before I started my own company, what do you mean, which one?
You worked auctions.
Oh yeah. I mean, I did auctions. I had a yard business that I did on the side. I worked for my dad as had a yard business. Then I started doing just odds and ends stuff in high school. Halfway through, people knew I could do stuff, so I started doing that on the side. I had my own little yard stuff, but I really hated mowing yards. I'd done that so many times, and I was like, you know what? The thing is, don't matter how nice I make a yard. Next week, the weeds are growing back up. The yard looks like crap. When I finish a house, I still drive by the neighborhoods over here, and I'm like, yeah, you see that? I did that. I did that. Yeah, you see the one next to it? Did that one too. And yeah, it's really cool because now we get to use the same paint. We've done all these flips for all these years, so I get to go and see all these houses. So I like that aspect of it. So it didn't take me long to go from I don't want to do yards anymore. I just can't stand it. I'd rather do anything than mow yards. And construction was right up there on my alley.
It broke his dad's heart, but
It did.
it's
Which added to the joy of it. Hey, I'm 16, some people rebel and go, get piercings and tattoos, which I did that too. And some people do some crazy stuff that when they turn 16. I started construction.
I'm not going to do lawns. I'm
Yeah.
going to do construction.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the transition? What was the vision when you started Andrews Construction? That was the business you started.
I wanted to buy houses. I still wanted to buy houses. I just ended up, I got started in construction because I wanted to buy houses and I wanted to get into the real estate side of things. And so I watched my dad do it, and he did it very poorly. He lost a lot of money doing real estate. And I just thought, I need to figure out the contractors. And later on I realized I need to figure out the money. But back then I thought, I need to figure out how to do this rehab thing, how to do the rehabs. So when VOTEC came around, I was like, okay, I want to go take a VOTEC class. My dad was pushing me for horticulture. And I was like, I already know how to plant flowers. I already know all this stuff. I don't need to learn how to be a better landscaper. And then they were like, construction. I was like, done. Signed up for construction trade for that and moved that direction. So I technically, straight from there, my shop teacher, he was like, hey, my dad has a framing company. Come to work. I think at the time I was making, I was charging $10 an hour, back then. And I think they were offering me 12 or 13. I was like, hey, raise, let's go. So went over there and they taught me a lot. I learned a lot from those guys in that year and a half I was there. Of course, I was eager to take on anything. We did Gaillardia houses and did custom homes. And so I'm not gonna lie, we did some cool houses overlooking golf courses and some really beautiful views. We did some really cool custom, like barrel ceilings and things like that most carpenters would never get to do. And I got to do all that stuff. And of course, I was eager to get on the top of the ladder and get to climb up and do the crazy stuff, so of course they let me do it. And it didn't take long, even in that company, I got pay raise after pay raise, and they didn't want to lose me, but after I broke my ankle, I was like, yeah, I'm out. But I already started my own thing on the side, started working for some investors, and I just got my biggest contract. I think it was like a $6,000 or $8,000 contract. I thought I was rich. And, so anyway, I was doing that on the side on the weekends, and I broke my ankle. It really pushed me to go hire somebody, because I had this big job that needed to be finished, and I didn't have the ability to go do it. So there's a crackhead walking down the street, and I hired him, and he ended up becoming my foreman, and we did stuff. We worked for about 2 years with this guy. He just taught me. I was literally his helper. I would go bid the jobs, go do the stuff, and then I would be his helper. He would be laying the tile, I'd be cutting the tile. He'd be laying the flooring, I'd be cutting the stuff. I was the cleanup guy. He told me what to go do, and then I paid him. And that's how it worked. I remember at one point in time in my business, I'd actually grown it to the point I had 9 full-time guys working for me. And they were like, hey, Friday, boss is buying beer. I was like, cool, can you guys buy me some beer? Because I wasn't 21 yet. And they had no idea at the time that I wasn't, because I was handling my business, and I had, like I said, I was paying out 5 guys, 6 guys, I think 5 or 6 guys at that point in time, full time. I was running 3 job sites, and I just loved it. I forgot about houses. In fact, I fell in love with construction and doing what I did so much, I completely forgot about houses. And I met a realtor, and at that point in time, I was like, he's a professional, he knows everything, he's a realtor. Come to find out, most realtors, except those in the room, don't know nothing about real estate. They know how not to get sued, was later what I realized. But he told me, he's like, you can't buy houses until you get a W-2 and do all this other stuff. And I was like, oh, well, shoot, it's going to take me like 2-3 more years. And he's like, what you need to do is make a bunch of money. And I was like, bet. So I went out and tried to make a bunch of money. And that's what I did for the next couple of years.
Okay. All right, so how did this evolve into Andy buys home and endless?
My girlfriend at the time told me I wasn't doing anything with my life, and and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to a real estate meeting. But no, really, I was super dyslexic. For grace of God, He taught me how to read, and I'm grateful for that today. But I literally, like, when you read that paper, by the time I get halfway through, I was so concentrated on every word, I had no idea what the word said. Okay, like, I could read it out to you. By the time I got done with it, I was like, I have no idea what I just read at all. And so I found audiobooks. I'm gonna say, like, it was the biggest change. Somebody gave me a CD set, and it was on philosophy or psychology or something like that. And I ripped through those tapes, and I was like, where are you getting one of these? At the time, there was that was before Audible. Old. I'm not that old, but that was before Audible, or before the ability to go on YouTube and consume endless amounts of information. So we started an entrepreneur group. We had a little group, and back then, Think and Grow Rich was $59, which was quite a bit even today. But back then, I mean, that was more money than I had made in a week. And so we got our monies together. We got a computer, started burning CDs, and like the 9 or 10 of us would all chip in and buy these CDs, and we'd start like every month or every 2 months we were going through these CD sets, and we were just like Think and Grow Rich and Napoleon Hill, and I bought those myself to start the collection. And I literally listened to those things so much in my truck. I remember like pulling up to a job site and just being engrossed by it. I mean, like, I remember the day that it clicked in my head. It's like, they're not rejecting me, they're rejecting my bid. Like, just the things were like, oh, saying no is a good thing. That's not rejection. Just going through that whole psychology and whole thing of the audiobooks just blew my mind. Just that whole process was pretty incredible.
As of today, how many Audibles have you listened to?
I've got 622 in my Audible account right now, and I started that back when Ron and I started coaching. And before that, I don't know, I was taking that many CDs home from the library every 2 weeks. Then the library started giving free giving the CDs away, and the iPod came out. Once again, I felt old. But the iPod came out, and I was figuring out how to rip those CDs and putting them into the iPod. And it was like, I would sit there all night, rip CDs, push it into my iPod, and then go to work and listen to another book every single day. And I would consume sometimes 2 books a week, 3, 4 books a week. Sometimes I come home and just play video games and listen to Napoleon Hill or Think and Grow Rich or whatever. But those concepts started coming up and started working. And that's what I remember the first one was like, get up earlier. And I was like, all right, cool. So I got up early. And it's like, with early bed, early rise, make man healthy, wealthy, and wise. It's like, cool. I like being healthy, wealthy, and wise, so I'll get up early. I remember like 3 weeks later, I was like, I bet you didn't mean get up early in the morning and play video games for 2 hours before work. Like, maybe I should do something other than playing video games. And I was like, oh, I'll do this other thing. I was like, okay, cool.
That's when Mafia worked. Does anybody remember Mafia?
Oh, yeah.
We're really gonna age ourselves.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh no, MySpace?
On your computer, MySpace.
MySpace, yes, on MySpace.
Total waste of time, I remember.
Oh my goodness, I had it up there too. I was conquered.
He would play for hours, and then of course he realized one day, and let's talk a little bit about that. Where did that evolve?
What?
The morning studies.
The morning studies?
The morning studies, the reading the books, it's all applicable, guys. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you go ahead.
I want to pause you for a second. Apparently, I haven't done it yet. There's a thing called like Libby. If you have a library card, you get free audiobooks.
Oh yeah, now you
Yeah.
can download them directly to your phone. You can download them, yeah. The information now is just so endless. You can, now it's getting to the point of where you get the whatever thing where you're afraid of missing out, and now it's getting to the point where I like got 5 books on my, I'm like, I gotta listen to them all. You don't need to listen to them all. But it started off with just getting up a few minutes early. And I remember I was at church, and our pastor challenged us to get up and go touch our Bible every day. And he's like, just touching your Bible will give you the ability to go do this. Cool. So I'm like, I am a bit of an overachiever. In case you haven't noticed, if you challenge me to go a mile, I'm probably going to go a mile and a quarter just because to prove you wrong. And so I was like, I'm going to get this thing up and start reading on it a little bit. And I picked out a couple verses because I'm dyslexic, I can't read. So anyway, I do this, and I'm continuing this process. And so he's like, next week, he's like, I want you to read your Bible. And next day, I want you to do this. And next week, I want to do this. And I didn't realize that he was training us to have a 66-day, starting a new routine. He's challenged us to have a new morning routine, but he did it in such a subtle, small way. Getting up, dust your Bible off and find it. Literally, that was your deal. Like, go up and touch your Bible. Don't want you to do anything else. Get up 2 minutes early, touch your Bible. Next day, read it. Next time, get up 2 more minutes early, read your Bible. Get up 2 minutes earlier, go do it. He even went next, like, hey guys, I want you to go drink a glass of water before you go read your Bible. And I was like, oh, I can do that, glass of water. Didn't realize what kind of difference that was going to make in going forward. And since then, I've been doing personal development every day.
Since 2009. He gets up every morning, 4 or 4:30 a.m. and does this every morning faithfully since 2009.
What's 2009? Is that when you met you?
Mm-hmm.
I was way before then.
Way
before then. You were then. Yeah, but you gotta realize, also something else that changed my life was.
That was awesome. What's 2009 when I met you?
Well, I'm just like trying to figure out. I was like, it happened way before then because you've never met me before 2000, before I started my personal development. Well, it was a woman I was talking to, I was working for, and I was complaining, and I've been with her for, you get to know your customers very well because I'm literally in their homes, in their houses. I start hearing they're having their arguments, and they're like, the contractor's in the house. So, so you get to start meeting these people. So anyway, this lady comes up, she goes, I'm old, and I was complaining about another failed relationship, or some girl I was dating or something. And she was like, I'm on a site list, and not because I'm old, and you're done with the job, and sort of kind of thing. She goes, and I'm old, and old people just talk, so just deal with it. I'm like, all right. She goes, but the kind of girl that she really likes to date, she want to be with a guy like you. You don't have to answer that. That's an internal question that you need to ask yourself. And immediately my thought was, hell no! No, she wouldn't. And she was like, you might want to start working on yourself. And that was like the first thing that got me to hey, what's this working on myself? I worked on my job, I worked on my craft. I was a very good contractor, I made homes look beautiful, but I guess I need a little polishing, and she saw that. So.
Alright. And so how did we evolve to Andrew Rice Homes and Endless?
Well, it was Reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, reading the books, and doing all the stuff, but the thing was is I wasn't doing anything with it. I had an idea, and now I had the knowledge, but I had no action to go with it at all. And so my girlfriend at the time, wife now, she's like, hey, you're not doing anything. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start really focusing in on this. And so one of the things that really changed was, she was like, what are you gonna, I was like, I'm gonna go start going to meetings. I'm just gonna start going to meetings, start hanging out with people. I remember your response. She was like, okay, whatever. So your big move is go get out and go do stuff. But I already knew, because I read all the books, that you're the sum of your 5 best friends. You will become the sum of the 5 people that you hang around with. And so I went to the meetings, started doing some stuff, and my best friend at the time, named Marcus, we drank all the time, we had a good time, that's all we did all the time, we played lots of video games. He got 3 DUIs leaving my house, so that just tells you what kind of stuff we were doing. And I told him, I was like, dude, we're doing one of our drinking sessions, I'm playing some pool. I looked at him, I was like, dude, I just found out like you're the sum of your 5 best friends. I'm like, dude, you're killing my average. And he's like, dude, I'm not killing your average, I'm obliterating your average. And I was like, you are. And literally, and what's even funnier is like 4 days, 5 days, God works in mysterious ways. Like 5, 6 days before that, I was playing video games. I was like complaining because I was like, I wasn't making the kind of money I really wanted to. And I hit 10,000 hours, or 1,000 hours on my Xbox. And I got an award for 1,000 hours on my profile. And I was like, that's great. And my mind immediately went, that's $20,000. At the time I was making $20 an hour. I was like, and the thing was, is I got my butt kicked by a little kid on that ground. And all my friends, I came in last, but I got the 1,000 hour, and they were like, yeah! I was like, no, this isn't good, guys, this isn't working. But all that came about because I spent that time on reflection, and spent that time learning, and spent that time doing my things, and then journaling about it, and thinking about it in the mornings. And one of the things I literally have just been reading of like, where does wisdom come from? What happens? Where does wisdom and knowledge come from? And so what is knowledge? Like I've been doing some deep studies and stuff. So this one came up and I was like, where does wisdom come from? How do you get wisdom? By screwing up. But most people go in and they never get from this point of knowledge to wisdom because they don't reflect. You know, the whole point of wisdom is to go in, look at something, either screw it up yourself, either really screw it up yourself, look back at yourself and say, how was going then? What happened here? Or going over and say, hey, I want to go do this, and having a mentor or a friend that's like, hey, I've already gone down this road. This is what I see. And then taking that information and reflecting on it. The biggest thing is taking that information, reflecting on it, and spending a little bit of quiet time by yourself and going in there and saying, is this really true? Or is this just true for Ron? You know? Ron got in there, he realized he's a terrible contractor. He doesn't, but you know what? Ron hates it. Doesn't like it. I loved it. I mean, to the point that I forgot about all my other goals and dreams, and I was a contractor, fix it up. I mean, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I fixed up some really nice houses. I was in the parade of homes, 5 projects, 5 out of the 20 projects that was in the parade of homes were my projects. Like, we were doing some cool rehabs. And don't say like I completely remodeled them, but you know, I got them ready for the parade of homes. I was doing power washing, we did this stuff, we'd clean them up, maybe from a $50,000 to $100,000 to a $200,000 job on each one of those 5 homes that was in the parade of homes. I loved it. Loved it.
All right, so from there, and we got married, we continued to go to the meetings, and then Andrew got kidney stones, and that transitioned us to our next step in life. Okay.
Yeah, so I was still doing the construction thing, still working my butt off. And once again, you know, if you got a goal, you got a dream, you can really take the time to pray about it. You got to look at like everything you do points you in the direction that you want to, you know, that you need to go. You know, with one of my favorite country songs is that God bless the broken road. You know, because it led me straight to you. No. But really, I mean, if it wasn't, man, I'm super cheesy. It works for me. So anyway, but you know, the roads that you didn't take, the problems that you took. One of the best books I've read lately is The Road to Less Stupid. and it talks about how much further would you be along in life if you didn't make 5 of the biggest mistakes in your life. Like, how far would you be today if you look back in your life and you're like, if I would have, the wisdom of today, if I could have gone back and said, hey, don't do that. I mean, shoot, I'd be so much further along if I could do that, right? So it's about that. What was the question again?
How we transitioned to endless.
Oh.
You didn't think you're gonna be able to work.
I didn't, and so-
And that was his big push.
Yeah, it was really, and that was like one of the big pushes there. We just paid for coaching, and my back went out. And I remember I was like, I don't think this is gonna work, which seemed funny because my dad sold houses for 50 cents on the dollar. But I was like, nobody else is dumb as my dad. Nobody else would sell their houses for this much. But anyway, so I'm going with the coaching, and I'm going with Ron and Angelina, and my back goes out. And I'm picking up a load of shingles, putting them on a roof, and like the 6th one up, I'm like, ow, there's something wrong. So anyway, can't lift, can't do much of anything. I'm in constant pain. I'm going to the chiropractor 2 or 3 times a week. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm like, I gotta make this real estate thing work. Like, I got to. Like, I have no deal. I'm not gonna become newly married, and I can become my wife's burden. You know, I'm not that guy. And so I'm like, I gotta make this real estate thing work. And so I literally just worked my tail off. I remember going in and be like, I don't think this is gonna work. She was like, well, why don't you try what they're saying? And if it doesn't work, then we could go tell them next week when we go meet them that it didn't work. Never had that opportunity because it started working. It's amazing. Like, you pay somebody that's done it before, you do what they say, and it works. And so anyway, I remember like going in there and just trying, and we got the first deal like dropped in our lap, and then the second deal got dropped in our lap. And even though I'm working, you know, once again, God works in mysterious ways. You're over here working over here, and He's laughing over here while He's blessing you over here. So, like, I'm driving for dollars. I'm learning how to drive for dollars. I have no idea how to work a computer. All right, guys. I'm like, email. I'm like, once again, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. What?
Can you explain driving for dollars for people that don't know it, and like wholesaling in general? Because you got hurt, so you had to go into wholesaling.
Do I get hurt? Well, that's where I started, because I mean, we talked to my mentors, and he's like, all right, do you have any money? No. Do you have any credit? Absolutely not. I worked on cash basis for the last how many years? I had not zero credit. I had no credit. Like, I didn't exist. And so he's like, perfect candidate for wholesaling. So I get my first deal. Driving for dollars is wholesaling is literally just taking the contract. You get a house under contract, and I sell it to somebody else under contract to somebody else, and I get the difference. That's what wholesaling is. It's sort of like being a realtor, but not being a realtor. And it's usually on doing deals that nobody else would want to touch or want to take. It's usually the problem properties. You're dealing with probates and quiet titles, and you're having to meet the ex-wife at another place because they won't go to the same title company. And yeah, it's just craziness that happens.
Ours were tornado houses. We
Ours were,
started
yeah.
with, it was the 2013 tornado, and we started with the tornado houses. So we had maybe 3/4 of a house, and kind of a tie back though, guys. Mentorship. Maybe you can't afford it at first. Maybe you decide that, you know, you just need to focus on the books. The books are amazing. Get your education where you can. Go to the free meetings. But once you get to that point where you can do a mentorship, we needed it because Andrew was all over the place. I want to do this, I want to do that. You know, he just wants to
I read
do it
all the books, y'all. I had 50 strategies, and I was gonna do them all, and I had no idea how to do it.
And then on that first house, he wanted to fix it. Ron and Angelina came and looked at it and said, no, sell it. And we did. And we made a pretty good chunk of change on it.
Yeah.
And that led to the second house, sell it. The third house, they bought it. You know, it just kind of worked that way. But that led us to having resources, people, introductions to people that could purchase the wholesaling deals that he was buying. Because you think, oh, I've got this great deal, but now who's going to give me $30,000? Who has $30,000 cash to buy this? Because, I mean, it seems easy, but it wasn't, was it? So having those resources, networking, going to the meetings is super important when you're starting your business.
Yeah, and once again, your net worth is your net worth. Once again, you are the sum of your 5 best friends. If you've got that one best friend that you're going out drinking with every single Friday, and every single Friday they sit and tell you about how awful their boss is, and all you're thinking about is, man, you sound like every one of my employees, that's the guy you need to quit hanging out with. I mean, at least start limiting your association with that person. And I hate to say it like that, like you got to start doing it, but until you can get your mind right and you get your mind around the entrepreneurship and your mind around the financials and your mind around it and you're living it and you're breathing it, you're not gonna become successful. I mean, I'm sorry, I just know too many people that have a part-time side hobby and they never make it into their one thing, they never make it into their thing. Fortunately for me, I had kidney stones, thought I had my back was out. Fortunately, unfortunately, there were kidney stones and we got them taken care of and now I can pick up things again, which is fantastic, but that was my cutoff point. I had no choice, okay? I looked at that literally like I had no choice. That was my, burning the bridge moment. And when you get to that point and you're like, I did a talk a while back and I was like, how to become an overnight success. Come work for me, I'll pay you on Friday, overnight success, right? You want to be an entrepreneur, then just get ready. It's going to be years of pain and trial and tragedy. And you're going to have to go find your niche. And you're going to go find the thing that works for you. Because you aren't going to take photos the same way as the next person takes photos. And your stuff isn't going to work with the next person, right? So you have to get over there and find your niche. You might turn around and be like, hey, we do really, really well in doing $2 million homes. Well, there's not a lot of $2 million homes, so you're going to have to charge accordingly or whatever. You got to find your niche. When I did historical homes, I love that because they gave me the time I needed to go sit over there and get the house right. Whereas the cheaper houses, like they just want to slow coat and paint on and move. But they're getting ready for a show and they got all their friends coming over, so they were like, hey, we don't care to tip you all day long to change the light bulbs.
So what advice would you have given yourself to avoid some of the big mistakes that you made?
Oh, Lord. Know your books, learn your numbers, look at your numbers, Don't trust nobody. And I mean, and I hate to say it that way, my biggest mistake and almost bankrupted me was the bookkeeper and the CPA that I hired. They nearly bankrupted me. Another one that nearly bankrupted me is another bookkeeper. Another one that nearly bankrupted me is an attorney. Every one of those people did not, and they set up they misstructured. One of them misstructured my company. I didn't know. He was a professional in a big fancy office. I would have taken that information to anybody else and had them look at it and got a second opinion. Yeah, I could have saved myself probably 2 years and probably $1 million. Maybe $2 million. I would have had $1 million extra in the bank that I could have bought some more houses. No, I mean, that's one of the biggest things is knowing your numbers. And I used to use the WAG method, and it stands for wild ass guess. Okay? And I remember taking a painting course, and he was like, what method do you use? He was like, you guys use the WAG method. And we're like, WAG, okay. We're like, okay, it stands for wild ass guess. Oh, okay. And he was like, how much are you making us 3 jobs? And I was like, I don't know, more than I spent. I don't know. And that was cash basis there too. So he's like, starting out running your numbers, and started running my numbers, and I was like, wow, I made like minimum wage on that last job. But it's okay because I put in 20 hours a day, so I made good money. But just changing those numbers and learning your numbers and finding out what that, you've got so much trash you're gonna move, how much is that trash gonna take? Do you do measurement? Do you have the technology? Do you have an app? And as you continue to watch those numbers, how long does it take for somebody to get the trash from this bucket to the deal? Does it make some more sense to do this or that or whatever those numbers are? Then you have some data. Just the other day, I'm like, we're saving all kinds of money. I'm doing my own spraying. And she's like, how much? Look how much we're spending on this. I was like, oh, go hire a professional. What am I doing? I'm costing the company money.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have had that data if we didn't have if I wouldn't have known that we were spending too much money if I didn't have the data.
I saw the receipts, and mind you, we worked together, but $65 for 6 cans of Raid, $20 for a professional if you do more than one property, right? We have a 6-plex, we have an 11-plex, right? It made sense. We'll just pay the guy to spray them all at that price, right? But you don't know those things if you're not looking for those things. So that's the other thing that I would say when we talk about avoiding some of the big mistakes. Price shop, look around, look at your numbers. Sometimes we get so busy as entrepreneurs, we just start handing out money. And it's important to take the time to not just work on, not just work in your business, but work on your business. That's where, sometimes we struggle because we're so involved in the day-to-day of things. you have to make that time to look at the big picture. What am I spending? Where can I save those extra pennies? Because those extra pennies turn into thousands of dollars
Yep.
that you can save in your company.
Yeah. One of the things I suggested you read is The Pumpkin Plan and The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. Those are two great books. I'll just give you the spoiler on The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. He says an entrepreneur can run on a roll of toilet paper. Like, we can run our business and create our business and start the whole thing with our laptop. If we don't have a laptop, we'll get a keyboard and plug it into our phone. If we can't do that, we'll go to the library. We're gonna make it happen. And if that means we gotta go take our notes on a roll of toilet paper until we can afford a notebook, we're gonna go make it happen, right? And as we get money,
The pumpkin, what was the other?
The Pumpkin Plan. Pumpkin Plan is another one. It's a great book on business and how to create the customers that you're looking for. But the Toilet Paper Entrepreneur is one of those things. It really gets in there and just tells you like how to become an entrepreneur. And then it gets into the pitfalls that all entrepreneurs get into. It's like, oh, we're making money, so we can spend some money, and here's what we can spend it on. And it's like, if you would have just continued writing on toilet paper, you could have money in the bank and you could be like living a good life. But instead, you bought software and employees and all these different things that isn't really improving your life, or it's more revenue going in and out, but it's just one of those books that you just gotta read, Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. So that would be one of the things, financials. Secondly is go find people in your local area, local groups, something like that, groups like this, and ask them questions. Try and be honest, because I'm telling you, I have no idea what I'm doing, y'all. I just keep doing it, banks keep giving me money, tenants keep giving me money. I'm like, I don't know, I'm still running, like they're asking me like, what's your next KPI? I'm like, I'm still running off of the same formula that guy gave me. I'm like, it hasn't changed. I'm like, well, the market's changed, so you gotta no, I'm not. I'm still running the same numbers, it works. I'm not super like one of those IT guys that can go put it in a spreadsheet. I finally got a spreadsheet, it's cool. Super cool. Huh?
You paid somebody.
Oh yeah, I paid somebody.
Okay.
I tried for like weeks, and finally this guy was like $250. I was like, why? Why am I trying to do this stuff on my own? $250. He created this, or created a couple more formulas in my spreadsheet, so it's super cool. Yeah, just getting around the right people. I mean, getting in those groups. Go find somebody. If you're in a yard business and you're over here and you're servicing this side of town, and go find somebody on this side of town that you're not competing with, and go take them to lunch. Go talk to people, whatever you can. Go find a group that Painters and Wallpapers of America was one of the groups that I started, or didn't start, but I joined, and it was it's a local painting group, and I was a painter, and they taught me the WAG method, and like, I'm doing this stuff wrong. That one class, literally, I couldn't even tell you how many thousands, tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars that one class made me. And through the whole class, he taught me how to paint and stuff like that. Yeah, it was great. I learned how paint dries, and it was great science behind it. But that one thing in business, and that one piece of software that he gave me, and I didn't buy the software, I just used that. I was like, oh cool, I don't need your stuff. I just started doing it by the square foot. Cool, immediately. I don't know how much money I made, because I didn't track it, but I know I made a lot more money. Like, I had money over at the end of the week, and the next thing you know, I was like, I wasn't trying to collect money on Thursday to pay payroll on Friday. I was like, I got 2 weeks worth of payroll in the bank. This is cool. And just that one thing. So getting in the right group, getting in the right stuff, spend the money on yourself. And when I mean on yourself, on your own education. Take the time, take the classes, get a mentor, get some training. If you're having a problem in an area, because everything in your life affects every other area. If you are an alcoholic and you're slamming back as much whiskey as you can every night, that's going to affect your next day, and it's going to affect your ability to make money, and affect your ability to go work out. It's going to affect your body, and then you're going to be in an early grave early. That doesn't make sense. Let's go make a bunch of money so we can drink all night, so we can pass out, so go do it again. Don't make sense. If you're not having a great relationship with your spouse at home, how many guys can tell you right now that if you're having a fight with the old lady at home, you're probably not very productive at work? I mean, I can go to work right now, look at one of my guys, and I'm like, fighting with her, you guys fighting? Oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. I can take one look at him, it takes me 30 seconds to realize that he's been fighting with her, So if you got those problems, go take the courses, go do the stuff. I can't even tell you how many courses and classes I think I figured it was like $140,000 now I probably spent on my education.
It's been a lot, and I'm not gonna lie, as the wife of the entrepreneur, sometimes I'm like, holy cow, seriously, another class? But I get it now. Now that I'm here, you have to. Where are you going to get your education if you don't go out and find it yourself? When I worked for AT&T, they provided me with that education. I took it for granted. They would put us through classes, right? I have to go up to Dallas and spend a week learning different things. As an entrepreneur, you have to go out and you have to find your education. What is it that you want to learn? Where do you want to develop? Whether it's your people skills, whether it's your technical skills, you need to go out and you need to find it. And there's such a wide area of people that do things. It doesn't have to cost you money. There's so much free stuff out there.
Yeah.
So our son just recently joined us, and he's an entrepreneur now. He's 26, and he just joined the company. And he doesn't have a whole lot of money because we don't pay him very well. You know, we're like, okay, dude, you've been in here 4 months. We'll pay you more, and someday you're going to inherit this. So you got to look at the big picture, right? But in the meantime, what can you do? Because there's so much free stuff out there that you could be attending. Even this, you could be attending this, right? Just like you guys. So the question was, what advice do you have given yourself to avoid the big mistakes? I do want to talk about, sometimes we learn from the big mistakes. So think about one of the houses that we bought. That was just a,
You know,
what did I do?
I'm gonna go
What did you learn
another
from
step
it?
further. I'm gonna say one of the biggest lessons I learned is I don't always need a partner. I just need, when I need an employee. I got a partner in a business and I really didn't need a partner. I needed an employee to do what I needed them to do. And when you have a partnership, even like here, fortunately, she lets me take the reins a lot. But even having just that partnership, when you're the creative person, when this is your baby, and getting in there, it's a whole nother dynamic that's really hard to work with. And I've seen so many people like, oh, we're gonna start this partnership, and then I watch them go buy a bunch of houses or start this big business, and every single time I watch it fall apart. If both people don't want to save the wells, you know, if you're both saving wells and that is your passion to go save wells, then maybe it makes sense that you go start a nonprofit or a business together to go save wells. If you're like, hey, I want financial freedom and that's why I'm going to go do this thing, might not be the best idea to go get with somebody else that wants to not work. And the two of you that don't want to work start a business together. You know, might not be the best idea out there. So I'm going to say like, that was one of the biggest epiphany, one of the biggest mistakes I made over the years. And the other one is trying to do it all by myself. Like, as soon as you can outsource something that you're not good at and you don't like doing, like, I don't like books. Like, don't. Like, I remember one day my wife was like, if I could just sit in a room all day long and to do data entry and not talk to people, that would be my ideal day. And I would jump out the window. On day 2, you know, it's, you know, I have to get up early in the morning, psych myself up, sit down. I've got 2 hours, y'all. That's it. I got 2 hours to knock out this spreadsheet. And if it don't get done, it's happening tomorrow. Because that's all I got. I'm just going to tell you, my brain just can't wrap around that kind of data all day long. And I'm just not that guy. So you have to find out what you do. I love making Oklahoma beautiful, one home at a time. That's our business model. That's what we do. I love it. I love taking those crack houses and those awful places and kicking out the bums, cleaning them up, and then turning them into one of our first homes we got into. I remember I bought it, and she walked in, and she hadn't seen it. And so I just bought it, walked her, and she was like, oh my God, can we give it back?
And then later on, I said, can we live in it?
Yeah.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah, then she was trying to move into it. She's like, wow, it's so amazing. Of course, it did help them when I found our personal home that we moved, that I bought and renovated. She was over there, and I was like, put on the mask because all the mold. And she was like, and I remember her parents going through, you're not moving in here. And she's like, it's fine. I've seen them do it before. This will be beautiful. And it's a beautiful home now. But yeah, I was like, I remember going in there. I was like, all right, guys, put on your mask. And she was like, oh boy. And she opened up the door and started looking around. She's like, yeah, you can really do something with this. Yeah, I can see you doing something with this. This would be cool. So, but yeah, so you got to just, what was the biggest mistakes?
Just avoiding them, but sometimes you have to make those mistakes to get to the next level.
Once again, it's
And
not
we've
about
made them.
making the mistakes. I've made so many mistakes. If I didn't make all my mistakes, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be sitting in Aruba somewhere with so much money I don't know what to do with. But, you know, if I made no mistakes. But if I didn't get the mistakes, I wouldn't have the wisdom. And it's really about going in there, and I mean, when we first started, she was like, we're gonna buy 3 2s and more. We're not going outside, anything outside of more. I want beautiful, perfect houses with beautiful, perfect tenants. We got one of those. One, okay? And I realized like that wasn't my thing. I didn't want to, that wasn't my business model that I like to work with and not my class of people. Like my people were
It also wasn't the money maker. Once you get in there and start doing, you know, whatever it is you're gonna do, you're gonna find out where's the money, where am I gonna make the most money, the most profit? And we realized real quick, it wasn't the 3 2s and more, it was the 2 1s or the 1 1s or the maybe a couple 3 1s in the south side.
Yep.
That's our hot spot.
Yep.
So next question. What drives you, okay, being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's a lot of work. We traded in a 40-hour week work week for an 80-hour work week,
Yeah.
right? So what drives you to continue in this struggle?
I have no idea. Overwhelming debt. My wife wants a Range Rover.
I do.
You know, I mean, it's honestly, those are the answers you gotta come up with. My big driver was to retire my wife. My next one was to retire, to make sure my mom was taken care of. You know, that my next one was something else, and I made some goals and plans, and I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I remember one year, I set a goal of 52 flips. I was gonna do a flip a week, and I remember at the end of the year, I was like, we had a whole bunch of properties, and a whole bunch of stuff wasn't finished. We were not doing well financially, because I don't have to tell you guys, buying 52 houses is expensive. I was like, I remember she was like, what's the problem? I was just depressed. And she was like, what? I was like, well, you can't have goals. She was like, what was your goal? I was like, 52. She was like, where are you at? 42. And she was like, shut up. And she was like, I remember she was like, you realize that most people work their entire lives to buy a house, and you're upset because you did it. She goes, didn't you 10x your goals? She was like, yeah, I read the Grant Cardone 10x book, and so I was like, I 10x my goal at the beginning of the year. She's like, what was your original goal? I was like, 15, maybe 20? And you're upset because you did 42. So another thing that you gotta do is give yourself grace. Good Lord, guys, give yourself grace. You're gonna screw up. Your emotions are gonna get a hold of you. You're gonna make stupid mistakes. You're gonna make problems. Things are gonna come up, and you're gonna have a hard time. Something's gonna come up. And you gotta give yourself grace, because if you beat yourself up every single day, then you will not have the endurance to go out and go do it again tomorrow. Because, you know, Tony Robbins says the honor of an entrepreneur is somebody who makes enough money to cover yesterday's mistakes. And if you can do that, and over a 5-year period, you're successful. That's it. Like, that's all you gotta do. Cover your equipment, cover your mistakes, cover your problems. I mean, we're right now looking for a handyman right now, and I'm like, let's go fire 9 guys. Let's go hire and fire. Let's go run through that. It's gonna be expensive. It's probably gonna cost us a couple $1,000s to go do this. And I'm like, whatever. Let's go spend the money, and then we'll have a solution to our problem. But it's gonna cost some money. But it's gonna be, it's just an expense.
And it's gonna be stressful, but once we get through the money and the stressful, it's all gonna level out. And sometimes you have to go through that as an entrepreneur to get where you need to be. It's not always easy.
One of the biggest lessons I've realized is you guys get to decide on your suck. The next 10 years is gonna suck. The next 5 years is gonna suck. This year is gonna suck. Okay? It's gonna suck. Okay? You wanna suck? Sucking it up at your job? Working for somebody else? Drinking yourself to sleep every night? Or are you gonna suck it up, doing what you wanna go do and suck it up and working 100 hours a week on something that's not working, but it's something that you decide to go do? You know? Ron gets to go deal with some suck. He had a kid. It's gonna suck.
No, I love it.
I'm just saying. And he's just,
Alright, your suck is not his suck.
no,
I told everyone else to suck off.
It's gonna suck. He's gonna want to go play video games, and he's not gonna be able to at certain times. Especially with 2. And Ron's getting ready to go get a whole nother level, because before he's got 1, now he's got 2. You know, now they outnumber you. So, you know, and when one's gone, they're outnumbered again, and you can't chase them. And, you know, that little robot's going to be working extra hard trying to keep those floors clean. It's not going to be able to, Ron. I'm just going to tell you now.
I got 4 of them, 5 of them now.
It's not going to matter. They're going to trash them all. So, I mean, you get to decide on your suck. You know? He could have decided to suck it up and work at his IT job at the bank. I could have decided to suck it up and deal with my customers. And I could have a very successful construction company right now. I could have continued working for the framing company that I was working for. probably making $25, $30 an hour, probably running his company at this point in time, with a broken ankle, broken knee, and a broken elbow, taking 2 ibuprofens every morning like my brother does. And he's got having to have neck surgery now because he's done construction his entire life. And you know what? He picked his sock. And you know what? He's a master carpenter, does beautiful work. I look at his stuff all the time like, man, I wish I had time to do that. I mean, I really wish I had time just to hire my brother and go build a table, like to spend a week with him, because he's a master carpenter. You know, my other brother was a master tree guy. Like, he can literally look at a tree, whip, that thing flips over and falls right where he wants it to. Master at it. Not what I wanted to be a master at, you know? I decided to go become a master at buying houses and flipping houses and do what I do. And it sucked. I mean, when I was a contractor, there's one point in time I remember thinking, I had a heater, because all my utilities were shut off, and I had a heater sitting over there with a blanket sitting over the heater trying to keep some heat underneath there, because I didn't have enough to really pay the electric bill either that month, and that blanket caught on fire. And I remember thinking, I'm gonna die. I don't figure out how to pay the bills. That was the last day I ever went without gas and utilities. I figured it out. It took me about another week, but I realized, I was like, if I don't figure this out, I'm going to die. And then my dad's going to be right.
All right.
So you get to pick your sock. That's my thing.
Now let's go ahead and close out with, what advice would you give new entrepreneurs to begin their journey into their industry?
In their industry, and I would say embrace the suck. And I'm just going to tell you, like, embrace the suck. And know that it's going to suck. And if you think it's going to be like they show you on the internet, if somebody's trying to sell you, or somebody's telling you that this isn't going to suck, it's got a $20,000 to $30,000 price tag on it, and they're trying to sell you their magic formula for how not to make it suck. Okay? And they're not telling you about it. It's like I started flight school. They got in there and sold me the dream. 3 weeks in, they started selling me the suck. And it starts getting suckier and suckier and suckier, and at the end of it, I'm like, man, not only can it kill everybody, it's going to be expensive to do it. But they sold it, but they didn't realize until you got into it that how much it was going to suck, and I was not willing to go through that much suck. So you have to decide on, is it something that you're really passionate about and doing? I wanted to save some time and fly, be cool, fly people around. Got into it and was like, it's not going to save time. It's going to take a lot more energy. And this is something I need to do like when I'm retired and I don't have anything else to do. And you know what I really need to do? Get the math. I was like, I can go hire a private pilot and give me a subscription for what I'm going to spend here. For 5 years, I can have somebody else fly me around and my entire family in a really nice plane for 5 years. What it's going to cost me to go get this license. So, if you're new and you've got this thing, realtors or whatever the case is, I mean, you guys got all kinds of different industries in here, but you got to get ready for the suck, and get ready that it is going to suck and it's going to be hard. And if you're okay with that, if you're not, go get a job. This isn't for everybody, guys. I'm going to tell you guys, this is not for everybody. There's a lot of people out there, and I've met them. I've got one guy that works for me. He's fantastic at what he does. He had a rent house, he had his own business. Hated it. Works for me, loves it. Like, he's like, I go to work, I do my thing, he tells me what to do, I get it done, he pays me on Friday, I get to do what I like doing, which is fixing up houses, and I don't have to deal with the suck. He's not willing to go through the suck. And then he tells me every time I pay, I don't know how you come up with this money, but I appreciate it. I'm like, I mean, just keep my houses pretty, buddy. Just keep them going, keep my crews going, right? So you have to decide on, is that something that you're passionate about and willing to go through? And if it's not, guys, there's nothing wrong with that to say, hey, there's something else I want to go do. If you're not totally passionate about yards, or and what you're saying your thing was? Agriculture, like app. If you're like, I'm really passionate about IT, but this guy told me like agriculture could be the thing. What if you're like, no, dude, like, we're on a corn shortage and America's gonna die without it, and I feel like if this is gonna be the thing and I can create something that can save people and I can make a shit ton of money doing it, then that's your gig, man. I just don't tell you, my dad was the first one. Was like, you're never gonna make money. You're never gonna do this. I know how many people told me I was gonna go bankrupt, and I almost did 3 times. So, but you know what? You just keep through the suck, and if you stay through the suck long enough, 5, 3, 4, 5 years from now, all your friends will be asking you for a job. So, that's it. Q&A, any questions? Yes, sir.
So you talked about some bridges that got burned in front of your face that forced you to push you into a place of change.
Yep.
What are some bridges that you've had to burn just personally yourself, intentionally, without having to wait for it to happen?
People.
People?
People's been the biggest thing I've had to really eliminate, and it's really sad, because some of them are family and some of them are friends. I'm not gonna lie, it can be a lonely road. That's why all the entrepreneurs we put out an event, and you're like, hey guys, on Thursday night, I'm gonna come over here and talk about business, and look who shows up. A whole bunch of crazy ass people that don't have anything better to do on Thursday night, whereas everybody else is doing whatever TV series. I can't even tell you the TV series that's on, but I can't, not lately, but I can't even tell you that Game of Thrones was the last thing that I watched. They're ready to go do their entertainment, and they're like, they can't understand why you're gonna do that, and you're gonna make a commission. You might make a commission. My sister was just talked to her last week, and she's like, I just couldn't do the skepticism or not knowing if I'm gonna get a paycheck. I'm like, I don't know it. I know I'm going to get a paycheck because of experience, and I know that I can go do it. It's getting that confidence up, and then you get over here and you get a little check, and you get a bigger check, and you know that you can go, do 50 different projects or 60 different projects or whatever the case is. When I first started, 3 projects was max. Now we're running 15, 20 deals right now, which is too much for me. I mean, I need to be at 10, but we've got 20 projects going right now, which is a little stressful. But 10 is functional for me, which before 3 was, it was awful.
You'll be surprised, Ron and Angelina told us this would happen, and it hasn't happened to us yet, but this year we ran into the friends and the family, and you think you're trying to bring them into your world because these are people that you love, and honestly, a lot of these people, you're doing what you're doing for them because you want to share this lifestyle with them, and all of a sudden it flipped, and instead of them being grateful, well, you don't want to be grateful, but all of a sudden they start resenting you. An example, one of our family members has 6 children. They can't afford to do a whole lot, so we pay for their kids. And last year, they pretty much told us, you can't do that anymore. We were like, what? Why can't we pay for them? We want to go places. We want to do things. We want to hang out with you. We love you. We love the kids. Nope. If kids want to go, they got to pay for it out of their allowance. And we were like, holy cow,
I've got a $3,000 weekend planned. I got 26 nieces and nephews. We do a cousin-thon. I call it the cousin-thon during Thanksgiving. And it is 7 days of kid stuff.
Yeah.
We do it up. And every year, I'm doing a little bit bigger.
Can we be your cousin?
Huh?
Can we be your niece?
Man. I'm starting to get applications, so, it's cool. I'm so glad I get to do that.
Some things changed last year, so those are some things we're working on. But we weren't expecting it. We were not expecting it. And just be prepared. The more successful you are, some people aren't going to applaud you, they're going to resent you for that.
And especially the lower, I don't want to say the people who aren't trying to improve themselves, because they realize that you came from the same spot they did, and they see you doing better, which then now they can't use their excuse I'm from the south side, I'm from here, I'm from there, and you're like, yeah, me too, and now I live in Nichols Hills, and now I do this, and they're like, oh yeah, but you were, no, I'm telling you guys, I'm not that smart. I'm just not. I just continue to buy houses. Somebody a long time ago told me to go buy a house and keep buying them. Buying them these numbers, it'll work. And the banks keep giving me money. So, I just kept buying houses. Beforehand, I used the WAG method. I didn't know what I was doing. I just went out and started doing some stuff.
Start somewhere.
And,
What was the WAG again?
Huh?
What was the WAG?
WAG, wild ass guess. The wild ass guess. And that was how I started. I was like, I don't know. I think I can do this thing in 2 weeks. And let's face it, as entrepreneurs, we always underestimate ourselves. And we always think that we can do something faster than these two. And so, there's a lot of times I wasn't making money, but I didn't know. So, any other questions?
So you talked about waking up early in the morning. What are some morning rituals that you do, or would you suggest other people to do to make their day successful?
First thing, you got to get in the spiritual right mind. First thing, you got to get that. If you're whatever spiritual practice that you believe in, I believe that you need to get in that first thing in the morning. If not, your mind will get too busy. I always say I'm going to read my Bible at noon. I've got this deal on my phone that literally says meditate at noon. I do it about once a month. But I will get it done every single day in the morning. if I do it, if I set that time aside. So part of that is what you're working on too after that. Get your heart rate up, you know, depending on who you talk to, but everybody says, you know, get your heart rate up first thing in the morning. I've got 2 30-pound dumbbells. I'll get over there, pump on those. As soon as I get my heart rate up, cool, throw those down. And then give me a cup of coffee, go read, go meditate, depending on what I'm working on at the time. Right now I'm working on meditation, so I'm doing the Abide app, and I have the 10% Happier. And once again, I have a new mentor, hired another coach. Ron took me as far as you can. Your coaches, actually, to me, you can only get so much from a coach. They can only teach you from their experience and their stuff. And so I always go for, I think I've gone for 4 rounds with Ron and Angelina, and I've probably had 9 rounds with other coaches in various other areas of life. And it's been I've had a coach on the disc. I had a disc coach, and we worked on disc for like 2 months. I've had another investor that I worked with that he coached me for about a year and a half. So I'm always looking for somebody else.
Even I did. When I took over the property management side, I had to hire a coach to help me through it because I'd never done it before. So I needed her for like 5 months, and now I'm kind of on my own, and I holler at her as needed. But I know that she's available if I need to pick up that coaching again.
The biggest thing is you want to look at what area you're working on. So you want your spiritual thing is not something you just got to do every single day. Pray, meditate, read your Bible, read whatever spiritual thing that you read. I go back and forth. I'll read the Bible. I'll go in and read a devotional. I might read 2 devotionals that day, but for me it's about a 2-hour, hour and a half to 2-hour period. And that could mean anywhere from meditating. Right now, like I said, I'm meditating, so I might read for a minute. This year I'm trying to go through the Bible on the YouVersion app, so I'll go through that, go read my 3 chapters, listen to my 3 chapters, get my mind right, and then I'll go meditate for 15, 20, 30 minutes. I'm trying to get that up to about a 45-minute time, and just learning to still my mind. So right now I'm working on that. I had a muse there for a while, and that was a fantastic deal, and I spent, my first son came in one day, and I'm sitting over there, I've got music going, I'm doing the thing, I was working on a candle meditation. So it was about focusing on the flame. He comes in, he's like, oh,
It gets better though. Does everybody know what a muse is? This headband that goes on your head, so he's sitting in front of a flame and it's blinking.
Yeah.
In the dark, so.
In the dark, yeah. And it's like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. My son gets up to go pee, and here I am, he's like, the lights are off. There's
candle and blinking.
Candle going, blinking lights around the head, and he's just like, oh my goodness, what happened?
But the muse measures how well you're meditating, how deep into the meditation that you are. So.
Yeah, so that was one of the things, like if you've never meditated, you tried it once, did you?
Yeah.
So if you've never meditated, you don't know how to meditate, that's something I would strongly tell you to do. As Christians, we are actually called to meditate and called to be reflexive. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's really made me successful is that pausing, reflecting. I didn't realize it until literally like 2 weeks ago. It was like, what is wisdom? I started asking myself, I keep praying for wisdom. Okay, am I getting it? Why am I getting it? So I started looking, I was like, be careful what you pray for too. You ask for a bunch of wisdom, guess what? They come with trials. So you can get hit in the face with some stuff, and it's like, wisdom! David asked to be super wise, so God stuck him in the middle of the desert with sheep for 5 years, and then turned around and had a king try to kill him for another 5 years. And hey, guess what? Out of that, he became the wisest man that ever lived. So you've got to look at that, like where does wisdom, where does knowledge, where does experience come from? It's from fucking home, and that's where it comes from. But how many people screw up over and over and over again, and you're looking at it, you're like, man, he's just in this cycle. If this person's in this cycle, they do something, they get screwed up, they go back to it. Because they're not taking that wisdom part and that reflective part. And maybe they're just really working on their business over and over and over and over again, and they're not working on their personal self, their personal development. There's something else in their life. And you might need a coach. I remember the day I was going bankrupt, I looked at my coach, I hired Steven. He took one look at I was like, dude, I don't know what to do. And I'm literally paying you my last $500. He was like, dude, he gave me my check back. He was like, dude, it's that big a deal. Come on, let me help you, little brother. He was like, go sell some houses. And I was like, but they're my assets and they're my retirement. He's like, you're 20, how old are you? He's like, you're not retired anytime soon. Go sell it, suckers. I was like, just like that? He's like, yeah, just like that. Just just sell a house. I mean, it's not a big deal. We'll just sell a couple houses and fix this and it'll all work out. She's like, why is that not your go-to every time? Because they're just assets. They're chess pieces. And he taught me that they're not houses, they're not like babies, they're things that I fix up and I love. No, they're assets, they're pieces of chess pieces. And sometimes you have to sacrifice a rook to win the game, right? And you have to sacrifice a couple pieces. It's about winning the game. So, you know, it's just that one deal. You like looked over, I was like, I could just sell some houses and that would fix all my problems. You're right. And he's like, you know how to buy houses, you know how to do this, you do how to do this, you just got a little behind here, it's not a big deal. Sell some houses. I locked up my realtor and we listed 17, 18, 20 houses that day. He was like, what? He's like, are you out of business? I was like, nope, not yet. So we did it. We started selling houses until the bleeding stopped, and then all of a sudden I had some money in my pocket, and I was like, oh shoot, started buying some more houses. So, but that was a coach. Otherwise, I might have gone bankrupt.
So as a new entrepreneur, guys, because I've only been doing it since October of last year, I'm learning what you guys go through, those of you that are doing it, and will do it. My mind, nonstop, doesn't stop. It's constantly thinking, and it affects your sleep at night. So one of the things that I've had to get up and do is, if I can't sleep, some people will journal. I'm not a big journaler, but I'll get up in the middle of the night.
She will be.
Well, I have a coach as well that I talk to every week, and she was like, get up, if your mind won't stop, write it down. So what I do is I text myself. So I'll get up in the middle of the night, I'll sit there, I'll think, okay, what's going on, why can't I stop thinking? And I'll just send myself text reminders and get that out of my brain, and then I can go to sleep. But once you really, that's what I'm doing half the time when I'm up in the middle of the night, because my brain is just, I have ideas, or I'm thinking about things that need to be done, and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot about that. And rather than getting up and actually accessing the system to put the note in there, just get it out of your head. So either have a notebook by your bed, journal it out, or text it to yourself, and in the morning, you know it's there, and you can refer back to it, and you can put it where it goes to make sure it gets done.
And she'd get up in the morning, stop scrolling Facebook, and journal for about 30 minutes. She'd be able to go to sleep at night. But, I mean, we're not, I just, don't ask me how to do
Baby
things.
steps, baby steps.
I'm new to this, so my morning sucks, okay, and I know I need to improve it. I like to drink coffee in bed, and we have like a nice,
Airbnb.
yeah, it's not an Airbnb, but it feels like it. And I look out my patio doors and I see all my trees, and that's my thing, my birds and my trees. But that is my form of meditation. I don't have to have a thing blinking on my forehead, right, to get into it. You got to find out what works for you, and that is my form of meditation in the morning. Just quiet, just
I'm gonna
drinking
tell
my
you guys,
coffee.
it's tough to live up here.
Well, so I was gonna say, that's actually a fascinating principle that you shared, and I'm glad you did. My brain works somewhat on the opposite scale, because I will wake up in the middle of the night and my brain has questions. And so I will watch 8 hours worth of YouTube videos on research and finding answers to things that my brain is trying to understand.
In the middle of the night?
But it's at 4 hours worth, because I listen to everything on 2-speed right now. It just,
Of course.
it fries my brain to overloading that with information or research. So it's kind of on the opposite scale, where if I don't have a question that isn't answered, I have to research it intensively, and I oversaturate my brain with information. I right back out, and then
Go
when
read
I
the
wake
book,
up,
Road Less Stupid. I mean it. Go read that book.
Some of these book titles, like seriously, what's the F book, the F-bomb book?
Subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Another book that will literally change your life, it just really taught me that you only have so many fucks to give in a day, and you get to decide on where those fucks go. You can give them to the guy in the drive-thru who messed up and put pickles on your burger, or you can give it into making $1 million. You get to decide on that. Guess what? Today, Elon Musk and I woke up with the same amount of fucks. He put his fucks to work much better than I did, okay? So you have to look at that, like everybody has 24 hours in a day, you only have so much. And I will tell you, women have more fucks to give than a man does. So if you were, it literally will go in there and tell you like how many more that men and women have. And that's why women can pay attention to more details than guys can. Because we just don't have that many fucks to give. We just don't. And so you have to look at that and say, where are you going to give your fucks? Are you going to give it to global warming, global peace? You give it to your own pleasure. You're going to give it to your family. You give it to wherever. But you only got so much to give in a day, and you have to decide on, is this a good use of my fucks today? And get up. And if you look at it and you're like, no, it's not. Then why are you? That's called a job. That's what I do. give my contractor 20 bucks, I give another guy 30 bucks, I give my bookkeeper 20 bucks, I give somebody else 20 bucks, and now I'm left with 20 bucks left to give, and now I can really give my attention to those 20 bucks that really matters to me, okay? And so you have to decide on what to do. My son doesn't really get to decide on what he's going to do or what he's going to get because he has a job. He's an employee, he's my employee, and I have a bunch of bucks to give away, and so I give them to him. And so you have to decide on what.
It's a really good book, and if it's offensive, I'm sorry, but I find the word sometimes offensive, but it's a really, really good book.
It is a little rough. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I got into it, I was like, "This is eating at my soul."
Yeah.
And then after a little bit, I got what he was talking about, and I was like, "Wow, it's really a psychology book."
The concept
It
behind
goes
it.
back to focus.
Do what?
It goes back to focus, like focus on the things that actually are important.
Yeah. What's important. All right, any other questions?
All right, Ron, are we still eating across the deal, or are they open?
What time is it right now? Like 8?
It's 8:40.
We still got about 20 minutes or so, and then
Okay.
in the past we'd go somewhere after meeting, dinner, bar, whatever. We used to go to Joey Pizzeria, but they're not open anymore late at night, so that's still an option. Yeah, as we relaunch this stuff, we'll figure out if we still want to do those kinds of things. So that's an option. If you know me, I'm a night owl, so I'm just now starting to wake up. So, but if not, it's okay too.
He's not getting up before.
What's that other place we went to?
The collective.
Collective around here?
Yeah, it's 5 minutes away.
Is it pretty loud there? What's not so loud?
You will love it, and it's gonna be your new place to go to.
If it's loud, it's loud though in there.
No, the
it's
other
not?
one's loud. The one you go to, the parlor's loud.
Echoey.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it just wasn't as echoey in there when we went in.
I'm gonna run over there like,
Outside area, it's cold.
It's cool.
yeah,
I'm cool.
we'll on there. If they're open, we'll go there. If not, guys, enjoy yourselves, and if I can help you in any way, shape, or form, give me a holler. You guys got me on Facebook or whatever. I'm around.
We have 20 more minutes, and then we'll make our way out of here. So.
Yeah. About 15. I got the place till 9. I shrunk it down just a little bit.
I have a question. How do you get to use this space? Is there a fee, or how do you get to book this space?
DC. You go to dunlapcotting.com.
Oh, really?
DC on Film Row will show you how the process to get access
Do
to.
they charge a fee to use this?
It depends. It depends, but most of the time they give it. I think they only charge for like parties and things, but for like if it's an entrepreneurial thing, I think they may make exceptions and stuff. We've been here so long, I don't even know the process anymore. So.
I think there's something about it that
I don't know. I'm still waiting on my wife.